What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm taking the pups down to the vet, so if you see a massive German Shepherd pop up in the background, that's why. So I'm watching my buddy, the Economic Ninja, and I love the Ninja. I go to the Ninja channel for my daily dose of FUD, which is fear, indecision, and doubt. Because he's got a lot of good stuff. He's following the supply chain crises, very on top of it. Personally, I love the dude, but I feel like the Ninja is in a way missing the larger picture of what is going on here. He's now on the economic cycles and he's all into the cycle timing, but I think that he, perhaps like a lot of people, is excited about the potential downturn in equities and the ability to buy up things at lower prices and the opportunities as an entrepreneur that comes to you, but he's missing the fact that we are paralleling the collapse of Rome. And so I think it's important to unpack what that means. It doesn't mean that society ceases to exist and everything just goes to hell in a handbasket overnight. Plenty of economies like Argentina, Zimbabwe, Venezuela have all collapsed. Their currencies have collapsed all in the last 10 years, 10, 15 years. So, life moves on. It's just that you have a lower standard of living. Things become less accessible. Science at this point in time has hit an all-time low, I think, but will continue to go downward from here as it becomes more politicized. People lose the ability to reason and use conductive analytical skills. They go woke and they try to cancel each other, and that's just a product of an educational system that has trained for the last 30 years that collectivism and a socialistic ideology is a good positive thing, which is not. It's absolutely evil, immoral, and should be destroyed at all costs, but our society is too fake and gay to do that at this point in time. The urea crisis is interesting because what will happen by people going out there and throwing FUD on urea is, oh my God, I need to go get urea. Well, let's back the bus up. You're living in a declining empire. If you want to debate that, join me in the comments below, but you're living in a declining empire. Since 2008, you're not making new strides. Like, your self-driving cars are not here. We're not going to Mars. We're talking about it, but we're not doing these things. You've got, I don't want to jump in and waste too much time on Bezos is basically LARPing in space, which is live action role play. He's not really going there, which is cool. I mean, private citizens are doing amazing things, cool. But the wealth spectrum has gotten here to there. Some guys have spaceships, some guys don't have food, so it's gotten really off par. The currency is being eroded at a pace that we've never seen before. They printed 40% of it in the last 12 months, which is really nuts in North America for the global reserve currency. And when that thing goes away, it's going to be pretty freaking gnarly. But nonetheless, if you're a guy that's running urea in your trucks, in your machines, I would just want to encourage you, get out of them. Get out of them immediately. Make that someone else's problem and go old school. I find it interesting that the Ninja at this moment in time decides to sell 140,000 miles 7.3 turbo diesel that's had zero problems and can run on any fuel possible, and arguably needs a paint job, but other than that looks great, and exchanges it for a 17 or a newer Duramax diesel that requires urea for the tax write-off or whatever, because it's maybe you're missing the point. You're living in a declining empire. And so, yeah, we're going to see urea shortages, probably, very likely. We'll see some food delays and increases in cost by design. We'll see trucking issues. The guys that are running the older stuff that are willing to rebuild and already rebuilt, maybe at this point. You're running something pre-2008. You got 1 million miles on it. You've already rebuilt. You're good for another 1 million. Yeah, you guys are going to crush. You guys are absolutely going to crush. Your trucks are going to be worth 2-3 times value. You probably get new price on that stuff. I mean, for real, the way on things are going. New machinery, construction machinery. If you guys are buying new stuff, try to stay under 74 horsepower because you only have to deal with the diesel particulate filters, which I'm not a fan of. After you get out of warranty, you can delete. If you're in an area like the Beverly Hills Ninja, you can't do that in California. I know the comments oh, bro, I just deleted my stuff, man. It's all cool, bro. I get it, but you'll go to jail if you do that in California or New York. Florida, we don't really care. Nobody really inspects it. And you got, a 5-inch tip exhaust out there blowing black smoke everywhere. Roll coal. I mean, I'm about it too. Just do it with pre-08 vehicles. There's no need to be rolling that new stuff, in my opinion. I know it gets hard. You have to really evaluate. Do you want to grow the business and deal with employees that get sick and have to be possibly jabbed and things like that? Or do you want to be, a smaller business? I chose a long time ago to go down to outsourced contractors and a business of one model where I can implement machines and some basic level AI at this point, like scheduling apps and stuff like that. But I knew that the trend would help me. Essentially just becoming a business of one, and like, could I make my number? Like, can I make like 250 a year, like, as a business of one? And that's really my goal, right? And my real goal at this point is like invest capital and have capital work for me, and not deal with the employees. At one point I had like 7 or 9 employees and it was a mess. I had dudes walk off with my bobcats, walk off with my tree lift, walk off with chainsaws. Yes, I got some of it back. No criminal charges weren't ever happening. Like, I was like, I don't really want to deal with these guys. I had guys like name a company similar to mine and cash checks. It was funny. One time I'll do a story on that. It was funny, but it was also just like, my stupidity allowing that stuff to happen. But you have to look at the trend, and that was, 5 years ago. And that was just how the American worker was going at that point in time. But 10 years ago, and even longer than that, 2008 time period, we saw a change in our society where we decided consciously that we were going to print and enrich the elites and just allow the poor and middle class to just essentially become the poor, what I refer to as a peasantry. And this will take another 10 years to play out. But if you're at this spot and you're running death fluid in your vehicles, you need to understand that you're in a declining empire. I'm not saying that it can't rebound, but there's no signs on the horizon that that's going to happen. You're living in a time where irrationality is running rampant, and you have 64 registered genders or sexual orientations inside of your culture. It's not going to end well. It's probably going to end with a foreign adversary who's really badass and not woke and not fake and gay showing up and taking your shit. That's how these things normally happen. Our military is the best, bro. They've lost 2 wars in the last 12 months. They lost Afghanistan, and they lost the COVID thing too. Like, we put billions and billions, tens of billions of dollars into biological defense, and they were unable to do like a mass testing of like just the basic levels. And so they ran into a straight up propaganda campaign, which, if you're not aware of this, then you need to unplug for the matrix. You need to delete all apps, maybe even get off YouTube. I hate to see you guys go away, but maybe you just need to like seriously go back to the land and like really just get like based and get rooted. And if you're not seeing the absolute crazy level of propaganda, it's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. It pops up everywhere. There's a big agenda, and it doesn't end so happy. But the good thing is that the political elites tell you what they're doing. They tell their other elites what they're doing. All you have to do is listen and invest and prepare accordingly. At this point in time, if you're in an area that's not too keen on freedom, and most people, it's not the natural default of human beings to believe in freedom or to believe in individual sovereignty. It's not the natural default. But if you're in an area where that matters to you individually, you watch this channel, it matters to you, but you're surrounded by people that don't care about that, like Californians and New Yorkers, whatever the frick, New Yorkers, you need to leave. They're going to come for you. They will come to your house. Now look at Australia. Canada and the EU are always a year behind Australia. And then from Australia, it rolls to the EU and to Canada and rolls right into New York and California. The cancer is going to spread over the entire globe. And until an event happens where we literally uproot that cancer and remove it from our society, which is not a pleasant thing to think about. I mean, Brett Weinstein recently went through this mental exercise, and you could see it in his podcast where he has this whole, we're going to have a unity party and we're all going to be fake and gay together and we can just make this work. And then it clicked with him. He finally realized that the left probably has to be destroyed, and it broke his brain. And so at the moment, just sit back and enjoy the decline. But don't be like my boy, the Beverly Hills Ninja, and going out there at this moment in time as things are starting to unwind. Because as you drop 20% in production, and then you have like, a 10% increase in production, you're starting from a lower baseline. So you drop 20%. So you go from 100 to 80. And then you increase 20%, which, just so you guys understand, like a normal economy is going to grow at 3% a year. On average. But let's say you grow at 10% a year. Well, you start at 100 and you go to 80, so you're down 20 points, but then you grow by 10%, so that's another 8 points from your base of 80. You're at 88, you're still 12% down. You're still greater than 51% down from where you started. That's the American economy. You're in a depression. When is it going to start? You've been in it. You've been in it for 18 months to 24 months at this point in time. Yeah, a little bit less, right? September of 19. So yes, It's been 2 years. You're in a depression. In a year from now, they'll call it a recession. But they'll say, oh, well, it's different. You know, supply shocks, urea shortages, et cetera, et cetera. Whatever. It's just the propaganda. They're buying it all. They're wiping out the middle class. They're creating a slave-like population, and when they are no longer useful, they will remove them. They do this all the time. I.e., 1930s Germany. Like, this is what they do. They move them into the ghettos, and then they exterminate them when they need to. Like, but the first thing they do is they separate the culture into the people wearing stars and the people not wearing stars. We're there. And so, at this point in time, if you're the guy that's running a company, think about how big you want to be. Downsize out. I don't think it's a bad move to downsize out. You can make a lot more money, a lot less headache. And then if you've got equipment that relies on urea, dude, get out of that stuff, man. That stuff's garbage. It's not going to run that long anyway, and it's not going to be able to be run on alternative fuels in the event that you need to run on alternative fuels. For example, and I'll leave you with this, you get 5.9 Cumminses or 7.3 diesels and you want to run them on waste oil, vegetable oil, you want to run them on transmission fluid, you want to run them on hydraulic fluid, you can run them on any of that stuff. Vegetable oil, like any of that stuff. But you get a brand new urea truck, you need to be running that on no sulfur diesel or low sulfur diesel and urea. You just have no sovereignty in your vehicle transportation choice there. And yeah, it's gonna jack up the supply lines, but also if you're in an area where people don't believe in freedom, use this as an excuse to get out to a small homestead. You can be a lot happier out on an acre and a half, 2 acres, 5 acres, 50 acres, whatever it may be for you, not dealing with the crazy. You know, get out of those areas like the cities and there. Like, just get out, because this is not going to change. And you can parallel this with the fall of many other empires. And everything's not going to collapse tomorrow, but things are going to be harder to get. Things are going to get a little bit more propagandized. You know, the main point here is just become sovereign at every level, if that matters to you. And if not, you know, sit back and enjoy the decline. And understand that they'll change the definition of a fully starred person or a non-star, whatever one is the cool one to be in, all the time. And that if you don't comply, you know, then you're in the other group. And they will make it impossible for the other group. I mean, people that don't realize that at some point in time, you're not going to be able to go to the grocery stores unless you're complying with your state, local, and federal governments. Like, this is what's going to happen. And then it'll all fail. And then there'll be like this reset-like moment where elites will grab for power, and Brett Weinstein's brain will absolutely explode when he realizes that things may absolutely pop off. That might be how these areas are fixed. Anyway, guys, thank you for following, thank you for liking, subscribing. Until next time.